To be lost at sea in the 19th century was to enter a world without certainty. There were no radios, no distress beacons, nor any helicopters overhead searching the water. There was just the ship, the weather, and the horizon.
Welcome to Literally Victorian with your host, Matthew Lee Hanson.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthew and I'm glad to be with you once again. So for those who travelled by sea during the Victorian age, the ocean represented movement, trade and opportunity. But it also represented distance, and once land disappeared from sight, that distance became something else entirely: isolation. For many passengers, the sea was unfamiliar. Journeys could last for days, sometimes even weeks. And once a ship moved far enough from the shore, there was nothing visible but water for miles around. No landmarks in the distance, nor any indication of direction, only changing weather and the movement of the ship itself. This isolation shaped the experience of travel. Even in calm conditions, the awareness of distance remained. Those on board understood something important. If something went wrong, help might not come quickly, or at all. The moment a ship became lost was not always dramatic. Sometimes it began quietly: fog, storm conditions, or damage to navigational equipment. A captain uncertain of position. At night the sea could become almost directionless, and in poor weather even experienced crews could struggle to determine exactly where they were. This uncertainty created tension on board. Passengers noticed changes in behaviour. Crew members moving more urgently. Repeated checks. Conversations lowered in volume. And beyond the ship itself, nothing visible, only darkness. But perhaps the most difficult aspect was not always physical danger, but uncertainty. To be lost at sea meant existing in suspension, waiting, watching, hoping for signs that never appeared. Time behaved differently in these conditions. Hours became difficult to measure. Sleep became irregular, and as conditions worsened, fear often spread quietly. Not always through panic, but through silence. People observing one another, trying to judge the seriousness of the situation without being told directly. Conditions at sea could deteriorate quickly too. Cold, persistent damp, limited food supplies. Storms made movement difficult. Below deck, cabins became confined and uncomfortable. Above deck, exposure to wind and freezing water created exhaustion. And unlike modern travel, there was little separation between passengers and the reality of the environment around them. People heard the ship's strain. They felt the movement. They understood physically when conditions changed. One of the most unsettling realities of Victorian sea travel was the possibility of vanishing completely. Some ships disappeared without explanation. No survivors, no confirmed wreckage, only absence. Families waited for news that never arrived. Ports continued their routines, and somewhere beyond sight, a ship simply failed to return. This uncertainty lingered long after the voyage itself. Not knowing what happened could become its own form of suffering. Even when disaster became unavoidable, survival was uncertain. Lifeboats in the Victorian period were not always sufficient. Weather conditions often made launching them dangerous, and once separated from the ship, those inside entered a different kind of isolation: open water, cold wind, no guarantee of rescue. For some, the horizon became both hope and fear. Every distant shape mattered. Every passing hour reduced expectation. What made the sea uniquely frightening was its indifference. Storms did not pause, darkness did not lessen, and the ocean itself offered no shelter. Unlike danger on land, there was nowhere to retreat, no nearby town, no road, no visible escape, only continuation. And for many Victorian travellers, this was understood long before disaster occurred. To travel by sea was to accept uncertainty as part of the journey. The Victorian age depended upon the sea. Ships connected nations, industries, and people. But beyond those connections was an environment that remained unpredictable. To be lost at sea in the 19th century was not simply to lose direction. It was to become separated from certainty itself, from communication, from rescue, from the world beyond the horizon, and for some, that separation was temporary. For others, it was final. Thank you very much for watching, and if you're thinking about going out on a sea voyage, remember the horizon is far less appealing once it starts trying to kill you. So until next time, bye for now.